Tomas lived in a small farming town called Redvale. Life there was slow and quiet. People knew each other, and the biggest news in a week was usually about a new calf being born or a good harvest. Tomas worked as a mechanic, fixing tractors, old trucks, and anything with an engine. His workshop was at the edge of the wheat fields, where he could hear the wind moving through the tall stalks all day. One night, after finishing his work, Tomas stepped outside to lock the workshop. The air was cool, and the moonlight covered the fields in silver. He was about to head home when a strange sound reached his ears. It was deep and steady, like the hum of a giant machine far away. He stopped and listened. The sound grew louder. The ground began to tremble under his boots. Tomas looked toward the horizon. A faint light was moving across the sky, brighter than any star. It was not like a plane. It moved too smoothly, too fast. His heart began to race. The light slowed, then stopped over the far end of the wheat fields. A pulse of blue glow spread from it, and the humming sound grew so strong that the tools in his workshop rattled. The light started to descend. Tomas could hardly believe what he was seeing. It came lower and lower until it disappeared behind the tall wheat. A moment later, the night was filled with a strange mist that rolled toward him like a soft wave. It was cool, and it shimmered faintly in the moonlight. The smell was unlike anything he had ever known, fresh, almost like the air after a rainstorm, but sharper. His first thought was to run back to town to tell someone, but curiosity rooted him to the spot. Slowly, he walked toward the place. Where the light had landed, each step made the air feel heavier, as if the world itself was holding its breath. When he reached the field's edge, he pushed through the tall stalks, the wheat brushing against his shoulders. The mist grew thicker. Shapes moved inside it, faint shadows that seemed to melt away when he tried to focus on them. Then he saw it. In the middle of the field stood a silver shape, the size of a small house. Its surface was smooth, without any seams or doors. The silver seemed to ripple softly, like water. The base of the object hovered just above the ground, and from underneath it came a low glow that shifted between blue and white. Tomas's mouth went dry. He had seen drawings of spaceships in magazines, but this felt real. His mind screamed at him to turn around, but his feet carried him closer. A section of the silver surface began to open. It did not swing or slide. Instead, it dissolved into light, revealing a figure inside. The figure stepped forward, tall and slender, with a graceful shape that seemed almost human yet not quite. A crown-like crest rose from her head, made of smooth ridges that caught the moonlight. Her eyes were large, clear, and held a depth that made Tomas feel like she was looking straight through him. She wore something that flowed like liquid metal, moving with each breath. In one hand, she held a small crystal rod that pulsed with soft light. Her presence was calm, but there was power in the way she stood. Tomas froze. His voice caught in his throat. He had never seen anything like her. His mind could not decide whether to be afraid or amazed. The figure stepped closer, and the mist seemed to move with her. She stopped just a few steps away, looking into his eyes. When she spoke, her lips moved, but the sound he heard was not in the air. It was in his mind, as clear as if she spoke his own language. "I have finally discovered you," she said. Her voice carried both relief and certainty. "My human." Tomas blinked. The words made no sense to him. What do you mean?" he asked, his own voice sounding small. She tilted her head slightly, studying him. "I am Leora, Queen of the Avery," she said. "I have searched across the stars to find you." He took a step back, his heart pounding. "Why me? I'm just a mechanic. I fix tractors. I don't even know what you are." Leora's expression softened. "You do not yet understand, but you will. The time is short. We are not safe here." As she spoke, Tomas noticed the glow from her ship shifting to a deeper shade of blue. A faint rumble came from the distance, different from the hum of her craft. It was harsher, sharper, like claws scratching against metal. Leora turned her head slightly, her crest catching the moonlight. Her eyes narrowed. They have found us. Before Tomas could ask who they were, a shape moved in the mist. Beyond the ship, at first it looked like a shadow, but then it split into several dark forms. They were tall, with narrow limbs and heads shaped like jagged blades. Their movements were fast. Almost too fast for his eyes to follow, Lior reached out, taking his arm firmly but not roughly. "Come," she said. "We must leave now." Tomas wanted to pull back, to question everything, but the look in her eyes told him that hesitation could be dangerous. The shadows were closing in, their shapes growing clearer. He saw flashes of sharp edges, glints of metal, and strange red lights where eyes should be. Lior led him toward the open space in the silver craft. The moment they stepped inside, the mist outside seemed to swirl faster. As if trying to follow them, the interior was bright but gentle on the eyes, filled with curved walls and flowing lines that reminded him of seashells. A soft hum surrounded them. The opening behind them closed, dissolving back into smooth silver. The rumbling sound outside grew distant, then vanished entirely. Lior turned to him once more. "This is only the beginning," she said. "Your life is about to change." Tomas. He stood there, still catching his breath, wondering if he had just stepped into a dream. But deep down, he knew this was real. Whatever had just found him, or whoever, was not going to let him go back to his quiet life. The soft hum of the ship filled Tomas's ears as he stood frozen near the curved wall. Everything inside looked alive somehow. The walls pulsed faintly with light, and the floor felt warm under his boots. He was still trying to make sense of what had just happened in the wheat field. Lior moved to a raised platform in the center of the room. She touched her crystal rod to a small hollow in the surface. At once, a wide, transparent screen formed in the air above them, showing a view of the outside. Tomas could see the field where he had been standing only moments ago. Now, several dark shapes prowled through the mist, searching. Their movements were quick and sharp, like predators looking for prey. "They will not find us now," Lior said, her voice calm but edged with focus. Tomas stepped closer, pointing at the shapes on the screen. "Who are they?" "They are Dravik," she said, her eyes still on the screen. "Hunters. They follow me across the stars. They want what I protect." Tomas frowned. "And what's that? Is it something from Earth?" Lior turned to him, her clear gaze steady. "It is not a thing. It is you." The words struck him like a heavy weight. He took a step back. "Me? Why? I'm nobody. I just fix engines. I've never even left this town." Her voice softened, but it carried a strange certainty. "You carry something within you that even you do not know, a pattern in your life's code. My people believe it is the key to ending a war that has burned for generations." Tomas felt heat rise in his face. "That doesn't make sense. How could I have something like that? I'm just human." Lior nodded slowly. "Just human, and that is why it matters. Your kind is rare in the wide dark of space. The Dravik know this. They will try to take you. That is why I have come." He rubbed the back of his neck. "This is insane. You show up in a glowing ship, tell me I'm special, and expect me to believe I'm part of some war?" The Queen's eyes did not waver. "I expect you to trust that my search has been long and difficult. I have crossed thousands of worlds and spoken to many who did not believe me at first, but they came to see the truth." Tomas turned toward the viewing screen again. The Dravik shadows were fading into the mist. He could almost feel the danger they carried, even from this safe distance. "If what you're saying is true," he said slowly, "then they'll keep coming, won't they?" "Yes," she said. "Simply, until they succeed, or until we stop them." The ship gave a low, rising tone, and the screen shifted to show the open night sky. The stars began to move as the ship lifted from the field. Tomas's stomach dropped at the sudden sense of weightlessness. The ground fell away, the town shrinking into a pattern of small lights. "Where are we going?" he asked, gripping the edge of a nearby seat. "To my fleet," Lior replied. "It is hidden beyond the shadow of your world's moon. There, you will be safe while we plan our next steps." He gave a short laugh, though there was no humor in it. "Safe? Right." Lior studied him. "You do not trust me. I don't even know you." Tomas said, I woke up this morning thinking I'd spend the day fixing a tractor. Now I'm on a whatever this is. This is the Avery flagship Serenia, she said, and I am Leora of the Crown Line. My duty is to protect my people, and now, you. The ship's smooth hum grew deeper, and the view of the stars stretched into long silver lines. Tomas's breath caught. What's happening? We are entering a path between points in space, she said. A shortcut, in your words. It will take us where we need to go. He leaned back, trying to steady his breathing. So what exactly is this thing I supposedly have? This key, Leora hesitated for the first time. We do not fully understand it, but long ago, an Avery seer spoke of a time when a human would carry the code that could awaken the heart of the sky, a device older than any of our worlds. It could either end the war or destroy us all. And you think I'm that human? I know you are, she said without doubt. Tomas ran a hand over his face. What happens if I say no? Her eyes softened again. Then the Dravik will take you, and the galaxy will lose its last hope. The words were heavy, but there was no threat in her tone, only truth. Tomas looked back at the stretched starlight outside. He wanted to say she was wrong, that she had picked the wrong person. But deep inside, something in him stirred at her words. A strange feeling, as if a locked door had just been touched for the first time. The ship's hum shifted again, and the stars returned to normal. A massive shadow appeared ahead, not a planet, but a fleet of ships larger than any building Tomas had ever seen. They were shaped like silver wings, their surfaces rippling just like Leora's craft. Light ran along their edges like slow rivers. This is my fleet, she said quietly. The last stronghold of the Avery. Tomas stared, unable to speak for a moment. They're beautiful. A faint smile touched her lips. Beauty hides the truth. These ships have fought for centuries. As they drew closer, one of the larger ships opened a great circular port, and Leora's craft slid inside. The view outside shifted to show bright, open halls and tall figures walking in smooth lines. The interior glowed with a warm light. Like a sunset caught in glass, Leora stepped toward the exit. Come, there are things you must see, and choices you must make. Tomas followed her, his steps slow. He felt like he was walking toward something that would change him forever. And he didn't know if he was ready. But as the door opened, and the warm light washed over him, one thought stayed in his mind. If everything she had said was true, his life in Red Veil was gone. And whatever came next would not let him turn back. Inside the great hall of the Avery flagship, Tomas walked beside Leora, his eyes moving over every detail. The walls curved like flowing rivers of silver, and light drifted through the air in thin ribbons, glowing softly. Tall Avery guards in polished armor stood at attention as they passed. Their armor reflected the light in slow waves, and each carried a long spear with a faint crystal at the tip. Leora led him into a wide chamber where a round table stood in the center. The surface of the table showed a shifting map of stars. Small dots of light moved across it, and Tomas realized they were ships. These are the edges of our space, Leora explained. She touched the map, and several red points appeared on one side. The Dravik fleets, they grow bolder each day. Tomas studied the moving lights. They're close to Earth. Too close, she said. And they will keep coming until they have you. Before Tomas could answer, the table gave a sharp tone. The red points suddenly shifted, spreading quickly. One of the guards stepped forward and spoke in a clear voice. Queen Leora, the Dravik scouts have found a path into this sector. They will be within range soon. Her calm expression did not change, but there was a new firmness in her voice. Ready the shields, move. The fleet to intercept. Tomas felt a knot tighten in his chest. You mean they're coming here? Now? They have already found us, she replied. We must leave the fleet for now. If they focus on me, they may leave the others safe. It didn't make sense. To him, leave. Where? Her eyes met his. Somewhere they will not expect. Somewhere on your world. The guard gave a short nod and tapped his spear to the floor. Moments later, the same soft hum from before filled Tomas's ears as Leora led him back toward her personal craft. The Serenia, When they stepped inside, the walls closed behind them, and the view shifted to show the fleet pulling away. Leora's fingers moved across the smooth panel, and the ship turned sharply, slipping back into the path of silver light Tomas had seen before. The stars reappeared almost instantly, but these were the stars above Earth. The moon hung in the distance, pale and quiet. Below, Tomas could see the faint curve of his planet. Dark oceans broken by scatter points of golden light. We will land far from your town, Leora said. The Dravik will look for us there first. Tomas leaned closer to the view. And if they still find us, then we run, she answered. But we will not run without purpose. The ship dropped lower, cutting through the thin layers of cloud. Fields and hills rolled beneath them, darkened the night. Leora guided the ship toward a wide stretch of open grassland, ringed by forest. The landing was smooth, the ship settling on a cushion of light the moment they touched down. Leora's expression changed, her crest tilted slightly, and her gaze fixed on something beyond the forest. They are here. Tomas's heart began to pound. How can you tell? I feel their movement, she said. They hunt like shadows, but the ground whispers when they pass. He did not understand her words fully, but then he saw it, a faint glimmer between the trees. Like red sparks moving quickly, the Dravik were coming. Back inside, Tomas said quickly, but Leora shook her head. They will track the ship's energy. We must move away from it. She pressed the crystal on her wrist, and the ship's glow dimmed until it blended with the night. She moved fast, pulling Tomas along a narrow path through the grass. The night was still except for the sound of their footsteps and the rustle of leaves. Tomas glanced back and caught sight of the red lights again, closer now. Moving in swift bursts, the forest closed around them. Branches reached overhead, and the air grew cooler. Leora moved without hesitation. Weaving through the trees, Tomas tried to keep his breathing quiet, but every snap of a twig under his boots sounded to loud dots. Suddenly, a sharp hiss filled the air. Something dark shot past them, striking a tree with a heavy thud. A blade-like weapon stuck into the trunk, glowing faintly. They are marking our path, Leora said, her voice low. Do not stop. They pushed deeper into the forest, but the sounds behind them grew louder. The Dravik were fast, faster than Tomas thought possible. A shadow leapt between two trees, landing just ahead. Its shape was tall and jagged, its limbs long and jointed strangely. The red glow in its head locked onto them. Before Tomas could react, Leora raised her crystal rod. A flash of blue light burst from its tip, striking the creature. It let out a deep, metallic sound and staggered back, but it did not fall. They did not fall easily, Leora warned. The shadow lunged forward. Leora stepped in front of Tomas, moving with sharp precision. She struck again, and this time the light from her weapon flared brighter, forcing the Dravik to retreat into the trees. Go, she said firmly, guiding him toward a break in the forest. They emerged into an open stretch of rocky ground. In the center stood a tall stone formation, its surface covered in strange, weathered lines. Leora placed her palm against it. The lines lit up, glowing softly. This will hide us for a moment, she said. The stone shimmered, and a thin wall of light formed round them. Through it, Tomas could still see the trees, but the sounds of the Dravik grew faint. What is this place? He asked. An old gate, Leora replied, built by those who traveled before my people. Few know it remains here. Tomas tried to catch his breath. So we're safe now, for now, she said. But they will search the forest until they are certain we are gone. He looked toward the dark line of trees, even without seeing them. He could feel the Dravik's presence, patient, waiting. Leora's eyes met his again. This is only the first chase, Tomas. They will come again, and each time they will be closer. If we are to end this, we must begin the path to the heart of the sky. Tomas didn't fully understand what that meant, but as the glow of the stone wrapped around them, he realized something. Running would not be enough if the Dravik wanted him this badly. There had to be a reason, and sooner or later, he would have to face it. The glow round the old stone faded, and the night returned to its quiet darkness. The air felt still. but Tomas knew the Dravik were still out there. Leora stood silent for a moment, her hand resting against the stone, as if listening to something far away. "They are pulling back," she said at last, "but not because they have given up. They have found something else to hunt." Tomas frowned. "Something else?" She turned to him. "My fleet. They will try to destroy it while I am gone." The thought sent a chill through Tomas. He remembered the great silver ships hanging in space, the last stronghold of her people. "Then we have to warn them." Leora's crest tilted slightly, and she touched the crystal on her wrist. A faint shimmer appeared in the air. A message formed from light. A tall Avery officer appeared within it, speaking quickly. The words were strange to Tomas, but the urgency was clear. Leora's eyes narrowed. "The Dravik fleet is moving toward them now. We may already be too late." Without another word, she pressed the crystal again, and the shimmer vanished. She motioned for Tomas to follow. "We must return to the ship. If the fleet falls, there will be nowhere safe for you." They moved quickly back through the forest, the path lit only by the faint glow of her wrist device. When they reached the open grassland, the Serenia waited, still dim to blend into the night. Leora touched its side, and a doorway opened silently. Inside, the walls brightened again, and the hum of the engines returned. The ship lifted smoothly, breaking through the clouds and rising into the clear sky. Within moments, the curve of the earth was far below. Leora's hands moved over the smooth controls. "We will take the fast path," she said. The view outside stretched into silver lines, and then they were surrounded by a tunnel of shifting light. Tomas held onto the nearest rail, his heart beating fast. He didn't know what they would find when they arrived, but he could already feel the weight of the moment when the stars returned. They were no longer alone. Ahead, the great silver fleet was locked in a fierce battle. Dozens of Dravik ships, black, jagged, and sharp-edged, moved like a swarm round the Avery vessels. Streams of light and bursts of energy flashed between them, lighting up the darkness. Tomas stared, speechless. That's a war." "Yes," Leora said, her voice steady, "and we will join it." The Serenia darted forward, weaving between the larger ships. Leora's movements were smooth and precise, each turn avoiding incoming fire. The smaller Dravik craft spotted them and changed course. Closing in fast. One appeared on their right, its surface shifting like liquid shadow. It fired a burst of red energy, but Leora rolled the ship sharply, the blast passing harmlessly by. She returned fire, her ship's weapons sending a streak of blue light that cut through the enemy's hull. The Dravik vessel broke apart in silence, its pieces vanishing into the dark. "More are coming," Tomas warned, pointing at three shapes closing from behind. "I see them," Leora said. She pressed the crystals on the console, and the Serenia surged forward, a glowing trail forming behind it. The enemy ships followed, but the trail suddenly flared, releasing a wave of light that forced them to scatter. They shot past the main Avery line, heading straight toward a massive Dravik battleship at the center of the fight. Its black surface was marked with deep red lines that pulsed like veins, even from this distance. Tomas could feel its presence, heavy, cold, and full of intent. "That's their leader's ship, isn't it?" he asked. Leora nodded. "Destroy it, and the swarm will lose direction." Tomas swallowed hard. "And if we don't, they will crush the fleet." The battleship's weapons lit up, sending a wave of energy toward them. Leora twisted the ship sharply, but the shocks still rattled the walls. Sparks danced across the controls, and Tomas grabbed the rail tighter. "Can we even break through that thing?" he asked. Leora's eyes flashed, "Not without the key." Tomas felt his chest. "Titan, you mean me?" "Yes, your code can awaken the full power of this ship's heart, but you must trust me." He hesitated only a moment before nodding. "What do I do?" She motioned toward a raised panel beside the main seat. "Place your hand there and do not move it until I say." Tomas stepped forward, placing his palm on the smooth surface. The moment he touched it, the ship's hum deepened. Light spread from under his hand, running through the floor and walls like flowing water. The Serenia seemed to come alive, its surfaces shifting and glowing brighter. A sound filled his mind, Not words, but something like a song made of light and wind. It was strange, yet it felt familiar, as if he had heard it long ago in a dream. Hold it, Leora said firmly. The ship is joining with you. Outside, the battleship fired again, but this time the Serenia moved faster, almost as if it knew where the attack would land. The ship's weapons blazed brighter than before, sending beams of pure blue light into the enemy's shields. The red lines across the Dravik hull flickered. They're weakening, Leora said. One more strike. Tomas focused, feeling the strange energy flowing through him. The blue light gathered at the front of the ship, brighter and brighter, until it burst forward in a single, sharp beam. It cut straight into the battleship's center. For a moment, the enemy vessel seemed to freeze in place. Then the red lines across its surface went dark, and the entire structure began to break apart. The swarm of smaller Dravik ships wavered, their movements losing their sharp coordination. The Avery fleet pushed forward, driving them back. One by one, the dark ships retreated into the shadows between the stars, disappearing into the deep black. The view outside slowly cleared. The silver fleet gathered together, their light steady once more. Tomas removed his hand from the panel, his legs weak. Did we win? For now, Leora said. But they will return, and next time they will come in greater force. He looked at her, still catching his breath. Then we have to be ready, she nodded. Her expression calm, but her eyes bright with purpose. Yes, and to be ready. We must find the heart of the sky. The war is only beginning. The Serenia drifted silently through space, away from the main fleet. The stars lay scattered like tiny lanterns in the distance. After the battle, the Avery ships were repairing their damage. But Leora had another goal. Tomas sat in the co-pilot's seat, still thinking about the battle. He could still feel the strange energy that had moved through him when he touched the ship's heart. It was both exciting and unsettling. Leora's voice broke his thoughts. The Dravik will return. Tomas, if we are to stop them, we must find the heart of the sky before they do. He glanced at her. And you think this key, whatever's inside me, can unlock it? She nodded. It is more than a belief. It is written in our oldest records. Tomas gave a small sigh. All right, where do we find it? Her fingers moved over the controls. The view outside shifted to show a large asteroid field, drifting slowly around a dim, dying star. One asteroid stood out from the rest, larger, with a smooth surface unlike the jagged rocks around it. Glowing lines ran across it in strange patterns. There, she said, the temple of the first travelers, built before my people learned to sail the stars. It hides the way to the heart. As they approached, Tomas noticed that the asteroid's glowing lines shifted, almost like they were alive. The Serenia slid into a wide opening, and the light inside the ship dimmed. The landing was gentle. When the door opened, Tomas stepped out into a vast chamber. The walls were curved and covered in the same glowing patterns. The air felt strangely warm, though he knew there was no real atmosphere here. This place will speak to you, Leora said, but it will not open unless you pass its trial. Tomas turned to her. What kind of trial? One of mine, not of strength. The temple will shape itself to test you. I cannot pass it for you. That didn't sound comforting, but Tomas nodded. All right, let's get this over with. Leora touched his shoulder. You will not be alone. I will be here when you return. He stepped forward. The glowing lines on the floor shifted beneath his feet, forming a path that led deeper into the chamber. As he followed it, the entrance behind him faded until it was gone, leaving him in a long corridor of light. The walls seemed to move slightly, as if breathing. Ahead, the corridor opened into a wide room with 3 tall arches. Above each arch, glowing symbols pulsed gently. He didn't recognize them, yet somehow they felt familiar. A voice echoed in his mind, not Leora's, but something older and distant. Choose the path that speaks the truth. Tomas looked at the arches. The first symbol felt warm in his mind, the second cold, the third uncertain. His instincts pulled him toward the first arch. When he stepped through it, the air shifted, and the walls around him became tall columns, like a forest made of stone. Between the columns stood a puzzle of floating shapes, cubes, spheres, and triangles made of glowing light. They moved slowly, but the path ahead was blocked by them. The same voice spoke again. Order brings the way forward. Tomas watched the shapes. They moved in a pattern, but it was broken. He reached out to touch a glowing cube. It moved under his hand, sliding into place, piece by piece. He shifted them until the shapes lined into a single smooth path. When the last shape clicked into place, the columns faded, and he found himself in another chamber. This one had a floor like still water, reflecting the glowing ceiling above. In the center stood a tall pedestal with a crystal sphere resting on top. The voice spoke once more. The key must see itself to awaken. Tomas stepped carefully across the reflective floor. As he neared the sphere, he saw his own reflection in it, but it wasn't exactly him in the reflection. His eyes glowed faintly, and strange markings ran across his skin, similar to the lines on the temple walls. He reached out. The moment his fingers touched the sphere, light burst outward, filling the room. The markings from the reflection appeared faintly on his arms, glowing for a moment before fading. The water-like floor shifted into solid stone, and a doorway opened ahead. He stepped through, finding himself back in the first chamber of the temple. Leora stood there, waiting. She studied him for a moment. You passed. Tomas rubbed his hands together. I'm not sure what I just did, but I think the temple recognized me. It did, she said, and it has given you the first connection to the heart. The path will reveal itself now. The glowing lines on the walls pulsed faster, forming a single trail toward the far side of the chamber. Leora led the way, and the two of them returned to the Sirenia. Once inside, Leora touched the ship's controls. A new map appeared on the display, one Tomas had not seen before. It showed a region of space marked by a single golden point. That is where the heart of the sky rests, she said. And that is where the Dravik will head next. Tomas stared at the golden point. It looked far, deep into unknown space. Then we have to get there first. She gave a short nod. Yes, but the trial you faced is only the first. The heart will not open easily, and the Dravik will not wait. As the Sirenia rose from the asteroid and slipped back into the stars, Tomas glanced at his hands. The markings from the reflection were gone, but he could still feel them, like a faint warmth beneath the skin. He didn't know what the next trial would be, but he knew he was part of something too big to walk away from now. The Sirenia moved through deep space, following the golden point on the temple's map. The stars were bright but far away, and the emptiness between them felt endless. Tomas sat in the co-pilot's chair, watching the display. The golden point was still many jumps away, but something in him felt they were being followed. Leora seemed tense. Her hands rested on the controls, her eyes fixed on the path ahead. The Dravik know where we are going now, she said. They will try to stop us before we reach the heart. Tomas leaned back. Then we go faster. She shook her head. Speed will not help if they are already waiting ahead. We must be ready. Not long after, the warning alarm filled the ship. On the display, several red marks appeared, fast-moving ships. The Dravik fleet had found them. They are in attack formation, Leora said, her voice calm but sharp. We cannot outrun them in this field. We must face them. Tomas looked at her. We? You mean the whole Avery fleet? Yes, she said. Her fingers moved quickly, sending a signal through the stars. Minutes later, the space around them shimmered, and Avery ships appeared, warping in from different points. Sleek, silver shapes with glowing wings formed a defensive circle around the Sirenia. The Dravik ships soon emerged, dark, jagged vessels with red lights glowing deep inside. They spread out like a net, cutting off every escape. The voice of the Avery fleet commander came over the channel. Leora, the Dravik bring their largest warship. If it is not stopped, none of us will survive. Leora replied, hold formation. I will open the way. She turned to Tomas. The temple gave you a connection to the heart's energy. You can use it now. Not fully, but enough to turn this battle. Tomas frowned. I don't know how. You will, she said simply. Before he could answer, the Dravik opened fire. Streams of red energy lit up the darkness, striking against the Avery shields. The air inside the Serenia trembled from the force. Avery ships returned fire, sending bright bursts of blue light across the battlefield. Tomas felt the strange warmth in his hands again. Without thinking, he placed them on the glowing control ring between the pilot seats. The moment his skin touched it, light spread across the Serenia's walls, and the ship's hum deepened. The display changed. He could see the entire battlefield, not just in front of him, but all around, every ship, every movement, every weakness. Leora, he said quickly, the Dravik's largest ship. Its left flank is weaker. There's a gap in their shield. Cycle. She didn't ask how he knew. She sent the command to the fleet. A group of Avery ships broke formation and swept around the side. Firing directly into the weak point, the Dravik ship shook, part of its shield flickering. But the Dravik responded fast. Smaller enemy ships rushed in to protect the damaged side, their weapons cutting through to Avery vessels. Tomas felt the loss like a sharp echo inside him. The warmth in his hands grew stronger. His vision shifted again. Now he could see lines of energy connecting the Avery ships. The lines pulsed with light when they moved together, but dim when they were scattered. They fight stronger when they act as one, Tomas said. Leora's eyes narrowed. Then guide them. Tomas spoke into the fleet channel, giving quick directions. All wings. Follow the third path from Serenia's signal. Move as one wave. Focus fire on the damaged section. Do not break apart. The Avery ships shifted, moving with sudden precision. Blue energy blasts cut into the Dravik warship's side. The shield collapsed in that section, and for the first time, the dark metal of the enemy vessel was exposed. The Dravik warship turned, trying to put distance between itself and the attackers. But the Avery fleet pressed forward. The smaller Dravik ships swarmed in desperation, firing wildly. Suddenly, the Serenia shook hard. A Dravik hunter ship had locked onto them, firing pulse after pulse into their shields. Warning lights flashed inside. Tomas, Leora said, if the Serenia falls, the fleet loses its guide. He closed his eyes and focused on the warmth, letting it spread through him. The ship seemed to respond, its shields glowing brighter. With his hand still on the control ring, he sent a single thought through it: push them back. The Serenia's wings unfolded wider, and arcs of blue-white energy shot outward, striking the hunter ship. The enemy's red lights dimmed, and it spun away into the darkness. Tomas opened his eyes. We're still here. Leora gave a rare smile. Yes, and the battle is turning. On the display, the Dravik warship was breaking apart. The Avery fleet pressed harder, blasting its exposed sections until a final explosion sent pieces scattering into space. The smaller Dravik ships, seeing their leader destroyed, broke formation and fled into the dark. The silence after the battle was almost strange. The Avery commander's voice came again. Victory is ours today, but the Dravik will return. Leora, you must reach the heart before they do. Leora answered, we will. She turned to Tomas. What you did today saved hundreds of lives. You are more connected to the heart than I thought. Tomas leaned back, still catching his breath. I just felt what to do. That feeling will grow stronger, she said. But so will the dangers. The closer we get to the heart, the more the Dravik will risk to stop us. Outside, the Avery ships formed an escort around the Serenia. The fleet moved forward, deeper into uncharted space, carrying both hope and urgency. Tomas looked at them. Golden Point still glowing on the map. It no longer felt just like a destination. It felt like a promise and a warning. The Serenia traveled for 3 days after the Great Battle. The Avery fleet had gone their separate ways, leaving only to escort ships to guide Tomas and Leora toward the final destination. The stars ahead seemed brighter, as if the universe itself was showing them the way. Tomas spent most of the journey studying the map. The Golden Point was no longer just a small mark on the display. Now it pulsed slowly, almost like a heartbeat. Every time it flashed, he felt a faint warmth in his chest, the same warmth he had felt during the battle. Leora noticed it too. We are close, she said on the third day. The heart is awake. It knows we are coming. The Serenia dropped out of warp near a massive, glowing cloud of blue and silver dust. It spun slowly in the emptiness, with flashes of light inside it. At the center of the cloud was something far larger than any ship Tomas had ever seen, a floating structure, shaped like a great ring, with lines of light running along its surface. Inside the ring, a sphere of pure white energy pulsed like a living thing. "That is the heart of the sky," Lior said softly. "It was built before our time, before even the first Avery cities. It holds the balance of our stars. If it is destroyed, the Dravik will gain the power to bend space itself." Tomas stared at it. "It looks alive." "In some ways, it is," Lior replied. "It listens, and it chooses." Before they could move closer, the escort ships reported incoming signals. Several Dravik warships were approaching fast. The largest one was different from the others they had fought, darker, heavier, with jagged spikes covering its surface. "They brought the dreadship," Lior said grimly. "It is their oldest weapon. It can destroy the heart if it reaches it." The escorts moved to intercept, but the Dravik ships outnumbered them. The Serenia was caught between staying to fight and rushing forward to the heart. Lior looked at Tomas. "You can reach the heart before them, but only if I stay to hold them back." Tomas shook his head. "No, we both go. If the heart senses danger, it will close itself," Lior explained. "It will only open for someone who carries the key. That key is you, Tomas. I am not leaving the battle, but I cannot enter the heart. You must go alone." The words felt heavy, but Tomas knew she was right. He placed his hands on the control ring, feeling the warmth again. The Serenia's engines roared, and the ship shot forward, weaving between blasts of enemy fire. The Dravik ships tried to cut him off, but Lior and the escorts engaged them, drawing their fire away. Blue and red beams lit the darkness, the battle raging behind him as he pushed toward the glowing ring dot as the Serenia neared the heart. A voice filled Tomas's mind, calm, ancient, and deep. "Why do you seek me, traveler?" He answered without speaking aloud. "To keep you safe, to stop the Dravik from using your power." "And what will you do if I give you my strength?" The voice asked. He hesitated. He had never thought about what came after. "I will use it to protect both my world and Lior's." The light inside the sphere pulsed faster. Many have said such words. Few understand the cost. The Serenia crossed the boundary of the glowing ring. Light wrapped around the ship, and in the next instant, Tomas found himself standing on a smooth, white surface that stretched into the distance. Above him was a sky filled with endless stars, and in front of him floated the heart, a sphere of light as tall as a building. Lior's voice came faintly through the ship's channel. "Tomas, the dreadship is breaking through. You must act now." The heart's voice spoke again. "If you take my energy, you will not be the same. Your life will no longer be your own. Will you still choose this?" Tomas thought of his home on Earth, of the friends he might never see again. He thought of Liora, of the Avery ships fighting outside, of the Dravik destroying everything if they won. "Yes," he said, "I choose it." The sphere of light opened, and a stream of pure energy surged into him. For a moment, he could see everything, the battle outside, the puffs of every ship, the thoughts of the Dravik commander, the beating of Leora's heart as she fought. The energy was vast, like holding a piece of the universe itself. When the light faded, Tomas was back on the Serenia, but now the ship's walls glowed with the same white light as the heart. The Dravik ships turned their weapons toward him, but he lifted his hand and the space around them bent. Their shots curved away, harmless. He focused on the dreadship. A beam of white energy lanced from the Serenia, striking the enemy's core. The great warship cracked apart, its pieces drifting away into silence. The remaining Dravik vessels scattered and fled. Leora's voice came through again, breathless but steady. "It is over. You did it." Tomas turned the Serenia back toward her, the light still flowing through him. "We did it." The heart's voice spoke one last time in his mind. "Guard this light well, for it is not only a weapon, it is a promise." The Serenia and the escort ships left the glowing ring behind. The heart sphere pulsed slowly, returning to its long watch over the stars. Tomas knew his journey was not truly over. The Dravik would return one day, and when they did, he would be ready. But for now, as the stars stretched out before him, there was peace.